Hi, I'm going to show you how to do regular expressions in Java today. So let's first of all do some theory in terms of what actually is a regular expression, because without that we are kind of shooting in the dark a little bit. Now, the point of a regular expression is that you are trying to find a pattern. Pattern being something that you can declare what pattern is. For example, like an email pattern might have some words, some symbols, an @ symbol. Then it's going to have some more letters, probably maybe some numbers, probably not symbols. Then it's going to have a dot, and then it's either going to have like another set of words and then maybe another dot after it. If we're going to do something like a postcode, it might be like a letter, a number, then another number, and then two letters. Possibly there's loads of different formats of these things. So what we're doing with a regular expression is that we're checking that a particular string, which we are going to input, matches a certain pattern or not. All right, so that's the point of what we're doing. We're matching strings, we're finding whether something matches a pattern or not. All right, now there's loads of different reasons that we might use this. One of the ways we could potentially use this is if we're going to do something like a Control F and we want to match something and we go, oh, I want to find something. So if I put find in here and I want to find something in my PowerPoint, I'm just going to click next and it will go through and it will match what I've typed in. And then we've got other things like match the case and things like that. So we've got loads of different things. We can find things. We can match particular texts to a pattern that we've typed in or to a word that we've typed in. We might be trying to find a particular word in a string or like a stream of characters or something like that. We might be trying to check if something fits a particular pattern, and that's what the job is that we are up to today. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of pause us and do some programming, all right, because I think it's interesting to see what you would have done alternatively to doing a regular expression. All right, so that's going to be where we're going to start. Let me zoom in a little bit. All right, so I'm going to do a scanner. Because that is going to enable me to actually type something in. Oh, if I, without the spelling mistakes would be lovely. I'm just going to do a right click and then fix my imports. Thank you so much. All right, so I've got a new scanner in there. So I'm then going to do type in a email address. Okay, so please type in an email address, and then we're going to do string user input equals, and then I'm going to do input dot next. That is what I want. I don't want to do next line because we shouldn't have spaces in an email address, so I'm going to do next. All right, so at this stage we're going to do if the thing is valid, if the email is valid, we'll come back to that. If the condition of the email is valid, we want to print out, we're going to do valid email. All right, else we're going to do invalid email. All right, so that is what we are going to do. Now let's talk about this condition for a second. So we need to think about, they're going to give us, somebody's going to type in a particular string, they're going to type in a series of characters, and our job is to validate whether the thing that they've typed in is a valid email address or not. All right, so let's talk about without regular expressions. So right now, we don't know much about regular expressions. How would we do it? Well, let's say somebody typed in, hi there at julie.com. All right, so my way of going through this might be that I'm going to count where the @ symbol is. So I might go, okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's the 8th character. So I'm going to do the @ symbol is at number 8. Okay, my next check might be that is that number 0. If it's 0, if it's the first thing, that's not a valid email address. So it has to be more than 0 to start. Then I need to find the location of the dot. So I might go, okay, I'm going to carry on counting 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So it's the 14th character is my dot. So I'm going to go dot equals 14. So I could then go, so if that number isn't 0 and that number is less than the character number of where my particular dot is. I could do that, but then if I've got 2 dots, that's not going to work, because then it's going to get maybe the first one, maybe the last one, depends how I've coded that. That's going to be interesting, that's going to be quite stressful. What if somebody then types in a dot and then an @ and then a dot? At the moment, that's a valid email address. That's quite stressful. We could put lots of conditions in here. We could put lots of conditions like there might be 1 dot, there might be 2 dots. If somebody puts that, that's not a valid email address. We could put loads of conditions in here. If we put loads of conditions in here, this is going to get massive, because we're going to do if. We'll do user input. Oh, hello, second. User input dot char at. And then we're going to go 0 is not equal to equal to something. You know, it might get quite stressful. You know, it's going to get very stressful if we start doing lots of different conditions in here. So we're gonna change that up. We're not going to use lots of different conditions. We could. But imagine if we came back to actually debug that. That would be an absolute nightmare, because we would have to go through every single condition. It might be that you've got 17 different conditions. That's going to be a pain for me to kind of go back and have a little look over. So we're going to use a regular expression. Now, the regular expression comes in the form of a pattern. All right. Now, the pattern that I'm going to use, I'm going to show you my pattern just to start us off. All right. The pattern that I'm going to use is a bad one. So the pattern that I'm going to use is this. Now, it is a bad one because it doesn't actually validate the emails with a lot of variety. There's lots of different changes to this where, like, you've got a different ending, like .co.uk. It doesn't like that. It has to have a certain ending. But the thing that we're going to learn how to read these in a second. But the thing to note at this stage is it kind of looks like, one of my students said last week, that it kind of looks like somebody has whacked their face on the keyboard. And that is the nicest expression. It does look like that. It looks like a bunch of random characters where we might know what some of them mean. We might know what all of them means. But at this stage, we might go, oh, well, yeah, we've got a bit of a guess as to what this bit means. But, you know, I might not have any idea what relevance this end part does. So I'm going to show you how to start reading these. I'm going to show you how to generate them. I'm going to show you how to cheat and steal some off the internet, because with regular expressions, there's always going to be somebody that has written a more bulletproof one. But then if it goes wrong, we need to know how to debug it. All right. So I'm going to flick back over to my little PowerPoint at this stage. Now, again, we started off here. The idea of a pattern, the idea of a regular expression is that we are defining a pattern, and we're going to check whether our text input matches that pattern or not. So let's see if we can read these ones. So what we've got at the moment is, if we've got something where we've got like 2 characters, like for example, we've got an A and a B here. If we've got something that's side by side, we say that it needs to appear in that sequence. So if I gave you as my input a B and an A, that is not valid at this stage. So that particular input is not valid because it is not matching the sequence over here. All right, if I gave you an A and a C, not valid. All right, because it doesn't match the sequence over here. So that is not a valid input. If I typed in A and a B, that's valid. If I did A, B, B, currently, that part of it's valid. But as a whole, that is an invalid input because I've got an extra B. I don't know where that extra B came from. All right, now if I've got a little line like this, now we know these lines, we're used to using these lines for our conditions in Java anyway. So these are our OR lines. All right, so if I had A or B, that means that an A is valid, a B is valid, AB is not valid as a whole, all right? So it just means one or the other, all right? At that stage, we've got A or B, or we've got that as just being our OR symbol. If we've got a star, that means that there are 0 or more of the preceding element, okay? So if I did A star, that means that I can have 0 A's, so I can have nothing, and that is a valid input. If I have one A, that's valid. I can have actually as many A's as I want, and that is absolutely valid. So it's like any number of, that's what the little star means, 0 or more of. So I can have 0, absolutely valid, all right? But again, it's the preceding element, so you wouldn't see something like that, because that is not going to work on that A, it's going to work on the one that's before it. So the preceding, it always goes in the preceding element. If I did A, B star, it means that I need to have an A, then 0 or more B's. All right, so the star only works on just the preceding element to it. Okay, and I'm going to kind of show you a little bit more of how to use that in a minute or so's time. Now we've got a plus. Next one's a plus. Now this one's interesting. It's one or more. So we're saying that there has to be at least one of them, but there can be more of them, and it works on the preceding element. So if I had an A plus, that means that I have to have one A. If I give you an empty string, that is not valid. If I give you lots of A's, that is absolutely valid. That is an absolutely valid string. If I did a plus on the end, that's not valid because that's part of the regular expression. So we're saying it needs to be at least one A. Oh, sorry, at least one or more of the preceding element. And again, it's the preceding one. If I did something like this, that means that I need one or more A followed by a one B at the end of it. All right. Next, we've got a question mark. Now, the question mark's a nice one. That one's like a something is going to appear or it's not going to appear. And again, it's on the preceding element. So if I did A, B, question mark, all right, that means that if I just gave you an A, that is valid. The question mark is saying that I'm going to have 0 or 1 B. So I might have no B, I might have 1 B, that's valid. If I have 2 B's, that is not valid. All right, so that is what the question mark means. So that's 0 or 1 of the preceding element. It's always the one that's just before it. All right. Then we've got use to identify groups. Now this one's nice and easy because we're saying if you've got something like, let's go with something easy, A, B, and then I put a star. Notice I did it in capitals this time, completely by accident. So I've got A, B star. So we know what the star means. That's saying 0 or more of the preceding element. Now, when you've got brackets, that's saying that everything inside the brackets, so AB, that is my preceding element. We're treating that as an element now. So I can have 0 or more AB. So I can have AB, I can have nothing, I can have AB, 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 AB. All right, that is absolutely fine. What I can't have is loads of A's and then B, because that's not valid. All right, well, if we're going to have these things together, all right, side by side must appear in this sequence. All right, if it was a case that we put an or in the middle like that, that would be absolutely valid. But at this stage we don't have that, so we're saying you can't have this. This is not a valid string. All right, now we're going to go for a few quick examples just underneath, just so that you can fully understand what we're talking about before I throw you at some nasty ones, okay? So, again, we've got A plus B. Well, we know what the plus means. Oh, hello. We know what the plus means. The plus means that there is one or more of the preceding element, all right? So we've got some accepted strings here, and we've got not accepted strings here. Remember, it works on the preceding element. So that plus is working on the A, not on the B. We're saying 1B at the end. All right. Okay, next one. We've got TR and then a star. So TR, we're saying it must appear in this sequence. It must appear 0 or more times. And then at the end, it's going to have an A to it. It's going to have an A at the end. We're not allowed to have lots of A's. It's got to have at least one A at the end. But TR, that's in a sequence. All right. Next one's an interesting one. So we've got an L. Then we've got this L and question mark. Again, the question mark means that it might be there, it might not be there. It says 0 or 1 of the preceding element. So we're saying that L, I might have 0 of them or I might have 1 of them. So I'm saying there's got to be one L, followed by maybe an L, then followed by an N, then followed by another maybe N. N might be there at the end, it might not be there at the end. Again, we've got valid strings, we've got invalid strings just there. Have a little look through, double check that you know what you are talking about. Now this last one I've got slightly nasty, not as nasty as my email regular expression, but slightly nasty. So what I've done is I've grouped some characters together, all right, and I've got an or in the middle. So I'm saying you've got to have +44 or a 0, and I'm allowed to have 0 or more of them. So I'm allowed to have, sorry, 0 or 1 of them. 0 or 1, not 0 or more. So that's 0 or 1 of the preceding element. And again, the preceding element is either a +44 or a 0. Then it's going to be followed by 1 or more of, because that's what the plus means, that means 1 or more of the preceding element, and that means any number between 1 and 9. Notice there's not a 0 in there, all right? So I've got some valid strings here, and I've got some invalid strings here, all right? So just double check it, walk through them, make sure you know what you're talking about. If you need to pause the video, please do. All right, now we're going to play around with some regular expressions online. So with these regular expressions, let me just minimise this for a second, get rid of that. So we're going to play around with some regular expressions online. Now, it's quite funny because you can just Google these things. So for example, regular expression email, if you go for something like that, there's loads of different libraries of things. Like for example, you've got email regex, you've got regex lib. I quite like regex lib. It's quite nice and retro looking, but it's actually quite informative. Now I got my horrible looking one from this particular website. Now you notice that some are quite small, some are quite large. All right. Let's say we have no idea. Let's grab one and go. All right. So let's say we don't know how that one works, and we've read it. We don't quite get it. We've got some matches. We've got not matches, and we go. Oh, there's more symbols here that I don't know what they mean. For example, this little arrow pointing upwards. Now that actually means that at the start of the token. That means 4 words, but let's say we don't know what they mean. All right, if you just Google regex, there's a super useful library, or should we say super useful website called regxr. All right, so I'm going to go on this one. What this gives us is a set of text that we can play around with already. So it's just got some text and we're saying, does individual bits of this text match my pattern? All right, so at the moment my pattern, it actually tells us what it does down here. So we're saying, okay, the green bit, so we've got green brackets. Well, we know what the brackets mean, the little circle ones. Groups multiple tokens together and creates a capture group. So that's saying this is a group. The green bit, this is a group. The square bracket, match any character in this set. And then the A to Z is uppercase, matches uppercase characters A to Z. All right, and then this W bit means any word character, so it means to be the whole word. All right, so notice what it's done. If we look at what it's done in here, it's matched all of the words with an uppercase character in it. All right, if I change one of these to have an uppercase character in it, randomly it will go, yes, that bit of it matches. All right, I can chuck the uppercase bit anywhere within these ones and it will go, yes, that bit matches. That is absolutely fine. All right. Now let's say I've nicked another little note from this website. There is a cheat sheet, by the way, that tells you loads of different cheats. So if we don't know what some of these bits are, we can have a little look in here and go, oh, that's what that bit means. Oh, that means not A. That's interesting. All right, so in different contexts, that little up arrow, that means a not in this context. In another context, it means at the start. Now let's say I've got my regular expression. So I was over here and I said, oh, I like the look of this one. This one looks really cool. I'm going to steal it. All right, if I plonk it into here and I just go, I'm going to delete everything in there so far and I'm just going to plomp it in. I like that word, plomp. Now what we can do is we can go down here and have a little look at what each individual part of my regular expression does. So we can go, oh, okay, this bit means at the beginning. This bit means match the whole word character, so the whole word of it. All right, we've got, okay, there's a character set in here. So this one's saying that I'm allowed underscores. All right, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause at this stage and go, yes, okay. For some reason, I really like this regular expression, and I'm going to now implement that regular expression into my NetBeans project. So I'm going to say, okay, I've got a pattern. Now I've picked this pattern. All right, and I'm going to show you why I picked this pattern in a second. So this is the pattern I'm going to go with. I'm going to now change it so that I'm going to use a regular expression to check whether my input here matches the regular expression or not. Okay, so let's get going. We're going to need a pattern. We're going to call it RegX, just so I know what I'm playing with. Dot compile. All right, so let's have a little look at what I've just given you. I'm going to grab my little string just there, get rid of that comment, and I'm going to just paste that in just there. Oh, I need speech marks around it. Give me a second, slight faff, and then I will explain everything. All right. Now there is a reason that this is going strange. All right, we're gonna talk about why this is going strange in a second. It's because I've not put an equal sign in it for now, but there is another thing that in terms of why it's going strange in a second. So I've got pattern, which is creating me a new pattern object. Notice that mine did the import for me because mine's doing very, very nicely today. If yours didn't, right click it and do fix imports. It will just chuck your import up the top. So I've got my new pattern object. I've called it RegX pattern, and I've said pattern.compile. Now this bit inside the string, all right, that is going to be my directly copied and pasted bit from this website because I particularly liked one of these ones. All right, so I just grab it and I'm going to paste it in. When you paste it in, let's go back to that for a second. You're going to notice that, say for example, that one's got a \W. Now a lot of them have \W. Let's talk about that for a second because in mine, if I just put \W, that will cause me to have an error. All right, now let's just do a little quick easy why it does that. Let me just comment that part out and just do a quick. All right, so if I just did hello there, all right, if I wanted to actually print out hello there, I just click run, and we're going to see it magically appear down the bottom. It's going to say, please type in an email address, blah. All right, hello there. I'm going to comment that out so it doesn't do that every single time. All right, so I've got hello there. All right, now if I wanted to put a backslash in the middle, all right, if I put it here, notice that my T has gone bold. If I run it again, it's gone hello, then it's put a tab in, and then it's stolen my T and put here, hello here instead. So let me just put a space there, and it's going to go, whoa, this is an illegal escape character, what are you doing? Right, that's technically an escape character. What this bit does, if I want to actually print out a backslash, I need to put two of them in. All right, that part there is saying treat the next thing I give you as a string, or if it is a predefined character, escape character like T, N, there's lots of different ones. All right, N means chuck it on a new line, T means tab. There's a few different ones. If I put a backslash in, it's saying, all right, treat this as a piece of code instead of a string, or if I want to print out something, I want to treat this character as a string, all right, like for example, if I want a speech mark in there, and I go, oh, this is a string, print it out. If I didn't have that, it's going to go, whoa, what is going on here? What is this nonsense? All right, now that bit is super relevant. I'm just going to put my code back in, because if you just leave it like that, it's going to cause you issues. So if you have a backslash, you want to just chuck another one in there just to make sure that it is escaped, which means that it is treating that as a piece of text as opposed to anything else. All right. Okay. Now let's do the next bit. We're going to need a matcher object. I'm going to do an equals this time, and I'm going to do a bit of copy and pasting. All right, so I called mine RegX pattern dot matcher. Now there's loads of different ways of doing this. This is just one way of doing this regular expression pattern thing. So I'm saying create a new matcher object. All right, I've called it matcher, and we're matching the regular expression pattern to the thing that the user typed in. Now it's going to have a hissy fit until I fix the imports. All right, it's going to say, hey, there's an import that I need, so just right click, fix the imports. It will chuck you one in, and that will sort that problem out. All right, now the last little bit that we need, we're going to use this matcher object. All right, so we're going to do matcher dot. All right, we're going to do matches. Now what this does is it brings me back a true or false. All right, so if my regular expression matches the user input, if it matches my pattern, then that comes back as true. If it doesn't match my pattern, it comes back as false. Now this is the bit that's going to get super interesting. So if I run it, please type in an email. If I type in just loads of ats and some dots, it's going to go, that's an invalid email address. All right, please type in an email address. Let's go julie@julie.com, valid email address. Interesting. So what if I did julie@julie.co.uk. Now, earlier I told you this regular expression pattern was a pants one. It's a rubbish one, because in terms of my pattern, there are certain things that it matches and there are certain things that it doesn't match. Now, I'm going to cheekily paste, I'm going to try and paste some comments in. All right, so here's my comments as to what my regular expression is doing. So the one that I've copied and pasted, again, I could be stepping through this regular expressions website, and I could be going through and going, oh, okay, what was my pattern? Let's put it in and see what happens. All right, and then I could make comments based on what it says down the bottom. So here's what mine does. Mine says at the start of the token, that is going to be the token. All right, so at the start of the token, we're going to match the words. There's got to be one or more words. Then there's going to be an @ symbol. Bear in mind that says one or more words. There's no spaces, there's no numbers. I'm not allowing any of that. Then it's followed by the @ symbol. After the @ symbol, I'm going to say you can have any lowercase or uppercase or underscore characters. That's fine. So remember this little plus symbol we've seen before? That means that we're allowed to match one or more of the preceding token. The preceding token in this case is this part just here. So we're saying we're having one or more lowercase, uppercase or underscore characters. Now this is funny, this little question mark, because it means 0 or 1 of. This is basically saying we're making this part be lazy and we're going to make it match as few of the characters as possible. So as few of these as possible we're going to try and match rather than all of them. Then I've got a full stop. So after all of that is followed by a full stop. Then I've got you can have then any lower or uppercase characters. But then I said the last bit must be 2 or 3 characters long. So the last bit's only allowed to be 2 or 3 characters long, or between 2 or 3 characters long. So if I run mine again, and I did Julie dot let's go hammer the keyboard. It's going to go invalid email address. All right. There's lots of things that this email address matches. There's lots of things that it doesn't match. But this particular one is a bit of a pants one. You tend to find, as a bit of a rule of thumb, for things like emails, the longer they are, the better they are, because they can match lots of different cases. So that is how you do it. If you are having an issue where it is saying that everything is invalid, and you are getting everything's invalid, nothing matches, double check your pattern. Go back through your pattern, copy and paste it into these websites. So copy and paste it into here. Get rid of all the other stuff that you've got in there, paste it in, and step through it. Put some example ones in here and see if it matches it. Step through it and see what it's doing, because you might find that it's doing something that you don't expect. So step through it, make sure you fully understand what they are doing, and if it doesn't work, try another one. Try another one, because there's going to be lots of different ones that you can try and have a go at. Okay, that's how to do regular expressions. Thank you.